Welcome to Thought for December the 5th. Our readings today are taken from Job chapter 6 and 7, Micah chapter 2, and Hebrews chapter 12. And our thought is, for the Lord disciplines. After the testimony about men and women of faith we read yesterday in Hebrews chapter 11, we now notice how the next chapter starts, with therefore, and then states, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also, and then he continues. The witnesses are understood as men and women of faith listed in chapter 11. They should be an example and inspiration to us to lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus. Verses 1 and 2. In looking to Jesus, what do we see? He is the ultimate example, beyond the cloud of witnesses, of one who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted, he says in verse 3. The writer, most likely Paul, then quotes from Solomon's Proverbs in chapter 3 in verse 11 and 12. My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of the Lord, nor be weary when reproved by him, for the Lord disciplines the one he loves. Verses 5 and 6. He then notes the limitations with human efforts at discipline, but says of God, but he disciplines us for our good, that we may share his holiness. Verse 10. And of course that depends on our wise response to that discipline, so that it shapes our behaviour and resultant character. His next point is, for the moment all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Verse 11. But some rebel at such training, and all struggle with it, as we are seeing at the moment in the case of Job. But the time will come when Job will look back on his struggles and perplexities and acknowledge the training they provided. And so it should be with us. So the challenge to us is, strive for peace with everyone, and for the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. Verse 14. The challenge is made. See to it that no root of bitterness springs up, he says in verse 15. What sort of roots do you have? What is the soil like in which they are rooted? Think and meditate. How wonderful and rewarding when God's word is the main ingredient in that soil. May we all make sure that this is the case with us. Well, thank you once again for joining us for Thought for the Day, where together we can open up the pages of God's Word. As the psalmist says, the precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes.